How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Tom, and you are watching Cortex Zero. A little under a year ago, something really unbelievable happened to me while I was driving in an area that I'm very familiar with. It's one of the weirdest things that's ever happened to me, and the best way for me to describe what this was is a glitch in the Matrix. I could call it a lot of other things. I could call it a time warp, a dimensional slip. But I know other people have had experiences like this. I know I'm not the only one, and that's why I'm confident in telling you about it. Call me weird, call me strange, but this happened. This is real, and I'm going to tell you about it today. Think of any area that you know well, whether it be your own neighborhood. That's probably the best example, but to be more accurate, somewhere that isn't where you live, but it's somewhere that you visit often. Think of somewhere that if somebody blindfolded you and spun you around, you would know where you were no matter what. That's where I was when this whole thing happened. It was, I'm trying to think what month it was in. It was probably around this time of year, but maybe a little closer to summer. It was a beautiful day out, 70-something degrees, some clouds, a little bit of a breeze, but I mean, it was perfect. So I decided to take a drive after picking up my medicine from the pharmacy. Now, like I had said earlier, I'm driving to the town next to mine, and this is an area that I know so well that I just can't get lost. It's the same damn trip that I've taken a million times. Back when I was 16 years old, up until I was about 18, I was dating a girl in this town, so I know it very well. I know every street. I know, like, every landmark. Everything. It's not even that big of a town. So that's what makes this even stranger, is that the possibility of me even getting lost in this area is just nearly non-existent. Honestly, I just can't see how I could have gotten lost. But trust me, there's way more to it. To be fair, it's not impossible for somebody to get lost in an area that they're really familiar with. I'm sure it's happened to most of us at least once. However, there are things that occurred during this drive that lend credibility to the idea that something bizarre had occurred. Something very unusual, very out of the ordinary, and very hard to explain. I'm going to try to paint this picture for you as best as I can. It's easy for me to picture the area in my own head, so I'll try to describe it as best as I can. It shouldn't be hard, and I mean, I can remember this happening like it was yesterday. That's the other thing. My brain has always done this thing throughout my life where moments of significance or high strangeness or events that were unforgettable, I am able to call them back and replay them in my head in like high definition. I can see them in my head very clearly, as opposed to something that maybe didn't have any significance whatsoever. I'm driving along. It's a beautiful day. I have the music going. I have my windows open. I'm enjoying the afternoon, and I'm taking the same drive that I've taken into this town a million times. Just let me be very clear about that. I knew where I was. I didn't even have to think about it. I could have, it's, you know, sometimes people say that when they're driving, sometimes they feel like they're on autopilot. You could say that I felt that way for a few minutes because I knew where I was. My brain knows where it's going. It knows where it's driving. I didn't think twice about it. I make the same right turn that I've taken on all of these other trips into this town. This is how it goes. You make a right. You drive through a little bit of a neighborhood with some houses. Then you come up to two fields on either side of you, two open fields. Then some trees on either side of you pop up, and you go over a little hill. Then you come to a stop sign. You can make a left, or you can make a right, and now there's another field on your right. If you make that left, that's where my girlfriend at the time, when I was 16, I mean, that's her road. So I make the right turn, and I'm driving along, And the first thing that I notice, and it's not even strange, but it takes me out of that autopilot mode. But just keep in mind, I know where I am still. It begins to drizzle. And I mean, there were some clouds in the sky, but nothing that would have pointed towards any kind of precipitation being in the area. None at all. I had no idea that there was going to be any sort of rain. So it was unusual, but in that moment, I was just like, oh, it's starting to rain. Looking back on it, though, it shouldn't have been raining. Not with the way the weather was looking at that moment. That actually didn't make any sense in retrospect. So I'm approaching the hill that I was talking about, where there are trees on either side of you. And that's when things became a little strange. Instead of there being trees, and the two open fields before the trees, it's just one flat, continuous plain on either side. Just grass. So I'm like, where are the trees? That's the first thing I noticed. I come up to the stop sign, and I look to my left, and that's when things got really weird and really confusing really fast. Instead of my ex-girlfriend's road being to my left, there's just trees. There's no road. It's a dead end. I can only make a right or turn around. There's an open field in front of me and to my right like I would have expected. But my ex-girlfriend's road was no longer there. How do you explain that? This is when I immediately thought to myself, okay, did I take a wrong turn? But I know that I didn't, because I retraced the steps in my head. I can even remember seeing specific signs, specific homes, just specific landmarks that I know would have been on that road. So I know that I didn't take any wrong turn. So next I decided to just make the right and try my luck. So I take the right, I go down. There's another dead end at the end of this right turn. The field is to my right now, and I can make a left. So I decide to go left, and I'm looking around, and the open field to my left, which should have been there, it didn't look the way that it had the last time that I saw it. There was supposed to be a building and a farm silo. Now there was just the building. The silo was no longer present. There were no cars in any of the driveways of any homes. There were no people. The temperature started dropping. What was going on at that point? I was so confused. I had no idea. I had no idea what was happening. Considering the circumstances, I decided that I was just going to use the GPS. And I set the location for the center of town, specifically an ice cream parlor that I like to go to. And the GPS had me turn around and go back down the road that I had just come up. Now, that doesn't make sense in itself. That's because if I was exactly where I was supposed to be, despite the changes that I was seeing all around me, I would have had to have gone back down the road that I came up and then taken another turn, but it just had me going straight down this road. At this point, I'm pretty stumped, because I know that I took the road that I would normally take, yet I ended up somewhere that I don't recognize. There are no cars in any driveway. There are no people. It suddenly started raining. It's no longer a beautiful blue day. The temperature drops, and it just so suddenly. And then something else happens that makes things even stranger than they already were. As I'm going back down the road that I came up, and I just try to picture this in your head. The sun starts to come out, the rain stops, the temperature goes back up. I look at my GPS. No changes, because, I'm eyeing it. Nothing's changing. But now I'm driving past my ex-girlfriend's house. The GPS is showing that I am driving towards the ice cream parlor. Yet, because of where I was, because I now knew where I really was, and I'm now passing my ex-girlfriend's house, I, in reality, was driving away from it. As I realize this, the GPS flips to show that I am now going in the wrong direction. I'm still stumped. I don't know what happened. It's as close to a glitch in the Matrix as I've ever experienced, and, you know, maybe it was just a bunch of factors that came together to make it look that way. But I'm telling you, if you had been in the car with me, man, you would have thought the same thing that I'm thinking now. It was weirder than hell. I don't know what that was. There are so many other things that I can't express to you, though. There was like a feeling in the air. There were just the aesthetic of everything was off. I wish I had taken video of what was going on. I really do, because that would have been definitive evidence of the high strangeness I experienced. How was I driving away from the ice cream parlor? Yet the GPS said I was driving towards it, and then it suddenly flips and alerts me to the fact that I am driving in the wrong direction. How was it possible that I went back down the road that I came up originally, and that just suddenly turns into my ex-girlfriend's road? How do you explain that? So I had to take care of a few things before I could finish recording and editing this video. It took me a few days to get it out. It's a little late. It was supposed to be out like 2 days ago, but I had some other things that I had to get to before I could finish it up. Now, I've got to know, if any of you watching this have ever experienced anything similar to what you heard in this story, I've got to know about it. Please send me your feedback. Send me your stories. I'll even share them on the channel. I'll give you credit for it. I'll give you a shout out, whatever you'd like. But I know I'm not the only one that has experienced something like this, because I've read other stories similar to mine. I've heard other stories on YouTube. I've heard it in podcasts and from people that I've talked to in real life. I appreciate all of you who have taken the time to watch this video and any of my other videos that I've uploaded. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you like the content. Hit the bell so you know when I've posted something new or if I'm going live. I do all kinds of things on this channel. It's an amalgamation of all my interests. It's not just about Battlefront 2. It's not just about aliens. It's everything. It's everything that I like, and that's why I think this channel will end up having a little bit of something for everybody as time goes on. You can follow me on Twitter, you can follow me on Instagram, and make sure you check out my podcast. It's called Podcast Zero. It's hosted by Anchor, and it's on many other platforms. I think you'll really enjoy it if you take the time to listen to it. I have about 8 episodes up right now, and a new episode is coming this Saturday. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like this video before you leave, and if you enjoy the content, please don't forget to subscribe. It's really helping. I am trying to hit a goal. I have a short-term goal of 1,000 subscribers, and I'm moving closer to it every day, and that's thanks to all of you, the subscribers. So until next time, you are in the right place at the right time. You want to be in my YouTube video? Oh, that's a yes. That's a yes. Yeah, you want to be in a YouTube video? Well, you're gonna be.